Hello everyone. Today I'm going to be demoing a new feature that we're just trying out in the Cheogram Android pre-release builds starting very soon. And this feature is a user interface showing threads in a new way that I don't think has really been tried before in other apps. A lot of apps have a user interface for threads that is basically like having a tiny private chat room that starts as a reply to a single message. That's a pretty common one, and similar things like that. My friends and I have tried that and just really, over the years, found that it doesn't really fit with the way we often use threads, especially in private conversations. Because you want to be talking about more than one thing at the same time, not going off to have a private conversation without everyone else present, right? That's kind of the reply with private chat room model. Everyone can see it, but it kind of is like anyone interested go over here. Whereas, an interleaved threading model like we're going to try now is a bit more fluid. I don't know if that makes sense, but that's what I'm going to say. Okay, so here it is. Here's a conversation in a little private chat room with myself, so you can see it. And you can see here on the messages some little thread markers that sort of show which thread each message is in, right? So there's one thread going on about going out to hang out, and there's another thread in here about sending a video, right? So you'll see at the bottom here it shows next to the send message area, it shows the thread that you're about to send a message to. And you'll see if I leave the chat and come back, it's still there. And yeah, it defaults, if you haven't done anything, to replying to the thread that is most recently here. Because on average, when you're sending a chat message, you're replying to the message that someone just sent you, right? So I could say, okay, here's a made-up link to a video. And you'll see it'll send in that thread, just like I thought. But maybe I want to also reply to this other thing and say, I hate that place. You'll see if I just click on one of the messages, it switches my thread marker to be replying to that thread. That's sort of the main interaction point. And then there's just a couple other things. So we want it to be as intuitive as possible to people who are used to using the app to keep using it with threads. So tapping on the message is pretty intuitive, but it is a new thing you've never had to do before. Often, in a group chat like this, if there's lots of people, when you reply to someone, you tap on their face to mention them. So say I want to reply to this message, and I tap on his face, it puts the name in to reply to, just like normal, and it also switches to the thread. And then, of course, you'll see it stays in that thread because that's now the most recent thread. And also, another way that people reply is, long press and quote. So you'll see when I quote, it's switched to the thread that the quote is from automatically. Right? So that's those things. You'll see if I'm scrolling up to look at old messages, whatever message I'm scrolled up to looking at is going to be the default, just so I'm always replying to what I'm looking at unless I've made a default selection. So sometimes, though, you do still end up with a thread that's so interleaved that you're not sure what's going on. This I like the vibe, maybe you can't see the context anymore, or whatever, or you just like the idea of having a dedicated sub-view like other apps have for a thread. So you can hold on any message and say, show only this thread. And now you'll be seeing only this thread. You got a little lock over the thread here to show you that you're locked into this thread, and all messages you send all messages you send are going to go into this thread, and any messages you get from other threads won't show up until you tap to get back out. Yeah, and then if you want to start a brand new thread, you can always just tap this at any time and say, oh, okay, new thread, right? And if for some reason you want to just clear everything out and not have a thread at all, you can long press even to get to no thread. And that's pretty much the feature.